New ally or wolf in sheep's clothing. So just tonight, just coming out in the Washington Post, an op-ed by the new president of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, offering to broker a peace deal between the West and Syria. The same Syria we just reported tonight, breaking news here on CNN, that's moving its chemical weapons out of U.S. eyes. And in what could be the most significant gesture in more than 3 decades, the new president of Iran also tweeted today that he, quote, has not ruled out the possibility of meeting with President Obama at the UN General Assembly next week, adding, quote, everything is possible in the world of politics. Everything and nothing, perhaps. CNN's Jim Sciutto is out front tonight with the latest. And Jim, in the Washington Post op-ed that I just referenced, Rouhani, said he wants to get involved in the talks between the Syrian government and the opposition. I'm just curious, we hear about this man. He's a reformer. Others say, no, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's just saying all these nice things. What do you think? How significant is all this talk?
Well, I've been to Iran a number of times. I've always thought that the term reformer is overused in Iran. In general, it's just different shades of hardliners there. I mean, this is a regime that's intent on its own survival. That said, there are different approaches, and this is, as you said, unprecedented outreach. I've spoken to a number of people, and they call it the most significant outreach since the 1979 revolution, and because it is quite broad. You have this invitation to the U.S. president to meet at the UNGA next week. You have an outreach to Jews after years of his predecessor maligning Jews and talking about pushing Israel into the ocean, etc. And now you have this editorial where Syria is offering to broker a peace agreement in Syria, where Iran is offering to broker that agreement, potentially significant because Iran is Syria's main backer, and by doing that, it would be, in effect, recognizing the Syrian opposition as legitimate. That said, I can't imagine the Syrian opposition wanting Iran to be an unbiased broker. But still, taken together, you have a very different approach to the outside world. And U.S. officials that I've spoken to are at least intrigued by this, but they've been down this path before, and they want to see action in addition to the words. Intrigued.
And, of course, it's interesting. I hear from Israeli sources and also from Arab sources. They actually agree, many of them. They don't trust what he says. This is a man who previously used a period of peace with the West on the nuclear issue as a time to later brag. That's when he made the most progress on the nuclear program. This is coming at times when there's reports that senior military officials in Iran said if the U.S. does anything in Syria, attack the American embassy in Iraq. Now, if other countries said that, the United States might be at war. But they're not in this case. I mean, so this is what's happening with Iran on the one hand. On the other hand, people are talking about talks.
No question. And remember, terrorism has always been a tool of Iran's foreign policy, particularly through a terrorist group like Hezbollah, and will likely remain so. Iran behind some of the attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. We know that based on tracing the sources of some of the more dangerous IEDs there. I think when you look at this, though, the one reason why it's credible that Iran is reaching out now and wants a different interaction with the West, particularly the U.S., is that these sanctions that it has been suffering under as a result of its nuclear program for a number of years, they've gotten a lot tighter, are truly crippling the economy. It's very painful, and that leads to questions in this regime about its own survival. And this is what Dr. Rouhani has said, that he was elected in this most recent presidential election to help lessen some of the effects of those sanctions. So it doesn't have to be a change of heart. It doesn't have to be that the Iranians have suddenly found God on this or become warm and fuzzy. It could be that very, practical issue of survival in light of very severe sanctions, which the people won't tolerate. Remember, Iran is looking at countries, all of its neighbors. These regimes, its old friends, are falling due to popular uprisings, and you have to think that they're thinking in the back of their mind, that could be us next.